This is the first film I can think of that used the new Disney-fied 20th Century Studios instead of 20th Century Fox, and my objection remains the same. It's the 21st century, you dicks! I can't tell if the opening of this movie wants to be There Will Be Blood or the Tom Waits section from the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
It was in all the papers at the time.
Harrison narration.
In this realm, Buck was king.
Okay, but he just licked that ice block, which I assume is headed to a bar or restaurant to be chopped into ice and served in drinks that people suck into their stomachs. Groceries. Look, I'm just going to add 30 cents right here and now for how f***ing fake the dog looks. Somehow they decided a good dog trainer was more expensive than a CGI dog. They might have been right on sheer cost, but they were way wrong in end result and how much that end result would cause people to make fun of the movie rather than praise it.
Buck, stop!
But if he's headed for the most powerful man in town, shouldn't the buck stop there? This ad for dogs is like 200 words. Do you realize how expensive that would have been?
Buck, go wake the girls.
Buck's already shown that he could give a rat's ass about following orders, but he understands this pretty complex command and does it? Jesus Christ, what might be a fun visual about a large, enthusiastic dog, in my view, looks like child abuse. You can have your fun visuals, but one of those girls just had her pancreas punctured. It's Call of the Wild, not Marmaduke, right? God, is he a rhino? I read Call of the Wild in school, and I do not remember all the parts about him being the size of a small horse. Is that Bradley Whitford? Get out. Also, there is no way this feast doesn't end with the dog everything up. See, this is a Brady Bunch episode, you lazy twits.
He was less attentive to his master's commands
Hey, Buck. I got a treat for you.
than he was to his own instincts.
Mosquito Coast seriously narrates this right before the dog gets dog-napped. Buck's instincts are so good, why'd he eventually go into the wagon?
He answers to the name of Buck. He'll fetch a fine price where he's going.
I just realized this is Warhorse for dogs. Also, dog napping. Also, I was thinking about how much this story has in common with White Fang, and then I did a little Googling, and the same guy wrote both books. He's famous for writing the same book 2 different times. Just one more to get to the E.L. James trifecta. How the hell did his collar fall off? He didn't even get into a physical altercation with the dudes. You're telling me that all the shenanigans Buck's gotten into today have left this unperturbed, but hopping up into a wagon knocked it clean off? That train's traveling forward in the left lane. Must be a British train.
Buck had no idea of where he was, where he had been, where he was going.
So pretty much like Tommy Lee on the Girls, Girls, Girls tour in 1987. Oh great, we end this sequence of rampant animal abuse by showing that there's zero hope for this heroic hound, at least in the short term. Welcome to Fox Disney Pictures, where dreams come to die.
Skagway, Alaska.
Gesundheit. Buck could jump out of this bitch any second if he wanted, and the entire movie has suggested he would want to. I know Buck is smarter than the average bear and all, but I'd like to know how smart. At times he's an absolute dunce, not understanding anything going on around him, but now he's able to understand a heavily French-accented hiker when he vaguely tells him to run up toward the camp. I'm not saying dogs aren't magic, because they are, but this dog is Albus Dumbledore. This is the worst looking dog sled team I've ever seen. This is the Mighty Ducks of dog sled teams. I feel like using an icicle as a military meeting map pointer is a little too Alaska. This mushing sequence goes on for some time. It's like if all the pratfalls from Private Pyle's training in Full Metal Jacket were inserted as a montage into one frigid sequence.
Buck felt a cold he'd never known.
How is frantic the narrator and the main human character in this movie? It's not like he's here to see what Buck is experiencing, or even what happened on the journey up to Alaska at all. Using a pine cone as a pillow. Being a dick? It's not that big of a deal. Give a dog a fish, he'll eat for a meal. Teach a dog to fish, and he'll end up being exploited by evil humans and made to do it on command for profit before dying an agonizing and protracted death, because this is a Hollywood movie about animals.
Doing the work of a sled dog brought Buck confidence.
A confidence he somehow didn't have before he was kidnapped, tortured, and sentenced to several months of indentured servitude. It's a wonderful dog. Why does there have to be a villain dog? Why can't the general and overall odds Buck faces be enough? Why does a fellow dog have to hate him and get all emo on his ass? I want to like this movie, but the screenwriters make it impossible. A dog or any creature sitting this close to the fire will rapidly get too hot and move away, unless they are computer animated, of course. As Buck goes to gnaw on his earned bone, we pan out to show Rufio on this sled team, staring on in jealousy, plotting some Kingslayer. I hate Rufio dog. Many minutes of dogfighting, none of which is noticed by the humans in whose care they're in. Buck finally dominates the husky jerk, and I can't even feel good about it because this movie had to set this with the backdrop of the Aurora Borealis to be poetic or some Beans! What a weird name for a dog. I guess it's better than swallows.
Just because you pull good don't make you ready to lead.
I disagree.
I think they know something you don't know.
There's nothing I don't know.
That's literally impossible, dick.
Fine, take it.
This movie is Warhorse for dogs. Movie makes a big deal about Buck's first time leading being super fast, but he's huge. And also, they're going downhill.
Go! Yee-haw!
Never yell yeehaw near snowy mountains. What is this, Indiana Jones? There's a huge push for these assholes to get to this town on time. But what does that even mean? What happens if they show up a couple hours late? Does the town completely empty into the frozen tundra of the Yukon? Do they have better to do than sitting around drinking bourbon in a saloon and waiting for the mail to arrive?
See, Buck, we don't carry mail. We carry lives. We carry hope. We carry love.
And probably some disease. Also, you got some of the postmen in my Call of the Wild.
I wish I'd found the words to express how I felt before the silence became unbearable.
Too late. The Ball of the Wild.
But as I am, there may be no home for me in this world.
As Patriot Games continues to blather on, it's time for a doggy skip.
You're late.
It's just that it's my son's birthday.
Should have come where we were taking.
What is this f***er's obsession with time, especially now that they've stopped? He's right there with a letter in his hand. Their mail route, we later learn, takes 80 days or more. What's a few seconds? These people wouldn't be cheering about the mail if someone told them that the mail would eventually become full of junk, ads, bills, and Hallmark cards. Intouchables tells Buck that there's a mighty journey ahead, and just looking at the timestamp, I can confirm he is correct. This dickhead is so obviously evil that he literally has a mustache he can twirl while laughing maniacally. This section where Buck gets sold to evil greedy people who mistreat the dogs goes on for too long, and I'm adding another 10 cents for making me feel sad for a CGI dog.
What am I gonna do with you?
I don't know, keep him as a pet? Have him run errands for you? John makes it sound like having Buck around would be such a burden, but does he really have anything else going on? And yes, I know that's the eventual plot, but that's what makes this line so silly. I'd maybe buy that Buck could track John to the saloon by smell, but how in the did Hal find him? Especially at this very second. This movie is boring! God almighty, the dog is going to understand alcoholism and cure it. And look, I know dogs are smart and can bring you a beer and mourn a lost friend, but they're not this smart. Wouldn't it have been nice to see that the actual responsibility of taking care of Buck and being his friend is what led John away from alcohol? That the dog gave him a purpose he never had? Instead, this movie has the dog literally bury and sit on the alcohol to keep John from drinking. Also, this is not a good message for alcoholics. This dog is a band-aid to this character's alcoholism. He says, let's go on a trip, a real adventure. You might even call it a last crusade, but that's only if you're involving an aging former action star and sex symbol in your movie.
We could go. You and me.
This whole movie acts like the dog can understand English, and it's infuriating. How in the ever-loving hell did the super impulsive dog from earlier in the movie not jump out of the boat to catch a fish? And don't tell me he's learned discipline. All he's learned is that some humans are trash and others are good. Don't at me. Damn, once Alaska thawed, it's thawed as I mean, aren't they headed northwest? And when they left, there was snow on the ground at their house. It's been like one day. Okay, I'd be remiss if I didn't give the movie a little credit for being a pretty genuine depiction of a man-dog friendship, because I'm an animal lover and a big old softie, so take it off before I change my mind. Interestingly, this is what my college girlfriend said that night we finally going this long downriver before hitting any rapids until now. Also, they survived this without any falls, too. Well, that makes two movies I loathe where Harrison Ford survives an impossible trip over a waterfall. This dude's murder boner is so turgid that he comes all the way back to town to with John. And when he finally does break into his place, it's been after days. Why didn't he come after him the night he accosted him in the saloon? John says, we come and go, don't we? Rest before you, Raggy.
Fuck.
Talking with your mouth full. I'd give all the sins back to this movie if they walked in on a bunch of decomposed hobbit carcasses right now. Wouldn't that be an epic post-mortem troll from Jack London against J.R.R. Tolkien? Also, I don't care how long it's been abandoned, breaking and entering. Hell, you just nearly killed Buck, you idiot. Did you not recognize the trap as a trap when you took it from the inside of the cabin and put it outside? Did you not warn Buck about it? He speaks English, you know. The dog is helping him center the horns, as dogs do.
Fairy tale's true.
So, why did the previous occupant of the cabin abandon this literal gold mine? Movie has way too much time for this romantic subplot tacked on to the end. Oh, you say it was part of the book? Well, look up our company motto, baby. No one will be seated during the scene where the dog watches the wolves hunt a boar. So this lead wolf from the Hot Wolf's pack falls into the rapids while hunting a warthog, and we're supposed to care why? As a contrivance to get the Hot Wolf to fall in love with Buck? This is as convenient as Ethan Hawke accidentally-ing himself upon that assault on the teenage girl in Training Day. Holy to Pack let Buck keep that and take it back to John? There are a bunch of those wolves, you know, and they are wild animals, hence the name of the movie. So why would they allow this?
This journey seems to be leading Buck to his destiny.
Damn, presumed innocent presumes a lot about Buck's character. He doesn't know about what the dog has been through before he saw him in the sled team. For all he knows, this motherfucker is microchipped. Okay, look, this is a gas fireplace posing as a campfire. Notice the specific deliberate plumes of fire. Notice the 4 angled logs, none of which were burned, even though solid flame is coming from beneath them. Remember that you're watching a movie that spent so much on a CGI f***ing dog that a real fire is probably somehow more expensive than a gas fire. I can show you the world, shining moonlight with bare threats.
World's a dangerous place. Never know what's coming.
Crawley shadowing. There you go, kids. If you want to quit drinking, forget AA and just get you an oversized, stubborn CGI dog. Spying on your dog's date. Wait, what?
How far he has traveled to find his home. How far I have traveled from mine.
Oh, shut the f*** up, Grizzly Man. John Encino Man's his dog here, telling him to go, but for his own good. And it's a f***ed up manipulation by the filmmakers. Why? Buck f***ing knows what's up. He's understood English all movie, as well as nuance and human nonverbals. You're telling me he needs to be told to go right now? F*** you, movie. You just wanted to make the humans cry. Yo, Hal has to have a homing beacon on John like Boba Fett had on Han Solo for this to be possible. Asshole tracked him down across the Yukon, where no one in the world had been, and found his exact location? Does not compute. Sweet, the antagonist dies a fiery, painful death. It's like Midsummer, except with adorable CG animals. But also straight-up murder. Thank God a human dies in this movie instead of the dog. Seriously, I hate dog movies because them always die. There's even a website dedicated to it. Given how often it's happened recently, though, I guess someone should start a doesharrisonforddie.com. I was trying to give you some space to mourn your two-legged friend, but now I'm beginning to feel neglected.
There is a place in these mountains where a new breed of timberwolf roams.
Okay, I believe the earlier narration was John making shit up about Buck's background, but this is from beyond the grave. Does this bear ever move? He's been in the same spot since they got here. And hell, Buck's had time to procreate. Go hunt somewhere else, not so gentle Ben. Clearly, the judge back in Santa Clara did not listen to Bob Barker, who was alive in the early 1900s, mind you, to help control the pet population and have your pets spayed or neutered.
Hey, Travis, what you doing with that gun?
Did you know the CinemaSin writers have podcasts? Check out Sincast and Behind the Sins by searching for CinemaSins wherever you listen to podcasts.
Men searching in the Arctic had found a yellow metal. Gold.
You see, Mr. Powers, I love gold.
What's really going to bake your noodle later on is, would you still have broken it if I hadn't said anything?
I'm actually rooting for this girl. She's got so much heart. You think of all the pain and the... Tequila is my lady!
Please get me out of here.
Get out?
Yeah, get me out. Get me out. Please help.
Anything off the trolley, dears?
Is somebody there? Mr. Marbles?
Iceberg, right ahead!
This is my boomstick!
Mom? Is that you?
Chewie. We're home.
Hey, baby.